Welcome to Basement Movie Room. We're back to discuss episode 7 of The Last of Us, entitled Left Behind.
Welcome back.
Thanks for joining us on Basement Movie Room. If you'd like to, you can follow us on YouTube, Basement Movie Room, at Basement Movie Room on YouTube, youtube.com/@Basement Movie Room. On Twitter, we're movie_basement. If you want to watch us on Twitch, which you're maybe doing right now, but nobody actually is, you can find us on twitch.tv/Basement Movie Room. You can also go to basementmovieroom.com. That'll get you to our YouTube channel. We also have a Patreon. Nobody's donated to that one yet, but that's okay. It's on there. You can find us on there. But we are here to discuss, as I said, episode 7 of Last of Us Left Behind. What'd you think of the episode overall?
I thought it was good. An average good in this case. It needed to push the story along a little bit further for me. This kind of, took another side route. I understand they're trying to build the world and all this and that, but I think they wasted some time with this episode.
Yeah, I get you there. And I'm with you on that. I think it was kind of a side road that it took a whole episode. This is kind of like the Bill and Frank episode. We took a whole episode taking like an off ramp here for the episode. But we do get some of the main story here. Not much, just a little bit at the beginning and end, basically, of the main storyline of Joel and Ellie. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I do have some thoughts, which we can talk about, the ultimate thoughts at the end of the episode, kind of how I feel overall after we discuss it and the reasons I feel that way ultimately. It's nothing controversial or anything like that. I think it's just some of the way I feel about it, as opposed to the way a lot of other people I saw online feel about it. It's a little bit different, I think, and I don't know why, but maybe it's just me.
I have some problems with the episode itself.
Yeah,
and certain things that happen throughout. I don't know. I haven't looked. I've stayed away from online stuff, and of course, I haven't played the game. So, just from watching this episode, there's some issues there.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. I understand that. All right, so let's get right into the recap. I'll start out with this first scene in the show. We start back somewhat where we ended last episode. Joel had fallen off his horse, and Ellie thought he was dead. I mean, I think that they were kind of giving a cliffhanger there, which I think was unnecessary, because if you played the game, or you just know Joel's not going to die right then and there. Sorry about the coughing. I'm going to do that every now and then. So,
COVID.
So you see kind of a bloody trail on a snowy road where Ellie has gotten Joel to a house. We open up in the basement of the house where Joel's laid Ellie in the basement. Got him in the basement somehow. I don't know how she did that. I mean, she's tiny and he has to weigh about 180 pounds at least, I think.
Yeah.
So she got him in the basement. She's laying him down. He's still got the wound in his gut that seems to be somewhat stuck. The bleeding seems to be stopped, but he's still in severe pain.
A little pussy.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. He seems to be in somewhat of pain, and he grabs Ellie and is like, just go, leave me, and go. And she's like, shut up, Joel. I think she even says, like, shut the fuck up, Joel, or something like that.
Yeah.
And tells him, basically, she's not going to leave him.
A lot of fucks in this episode.
Yeah, quite a few from Ellie's mouth, of course. So she leaves Joel there in the basement, starts to go upstairs, and she goes to open the basement door and kind of looks back, and then we jump into a flashback scene, which is the majority of the episode at this point, is a flashback scene. So the opening of the flashback is her in the Fedra encampment in Boston, training for Fedra. This is pre-bite. This is before she knows she's immune to the infection. And her and another girl get into an altercation. You could tell there's kind of some history between these girls. And the other girl says something to the effect, oh, your friend's not here to protect you now, or something. She takes her Walkman. So it's a Pearl Jam song. I can't remember which song it is. It's like All Alone or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And so the girl takes her headset off, and she's like, what are you going to do about it? And so Ellie hauls off and punches her, and the scene cuts. And the next scene, we're in the office of the Fedra captain, Captain Kwong, who is a recognizable actor. I've seen this guy in quite a few things. I can't place where I've seen him before, but he's basically talking to Ellie and it's like, hey, you're smart. Why do you act like this? Like, you're in trouble all the time. Why do you act like this? Because I know you're one of the smart ones here. He's like, you got these 2 paths. And he takes a coffee cup and says, this is the first path. You're just going to be a regular old Fedra agent patrolling the walls, getting shitty food, sleeping in a shitty bed. And it's likely that Bethany, who's the girl she got in the fight with, is going to be your boss, even though she's not going to be like one of the big time. She's going to be like a squad leader, I think he says, or something to that effect. And you're going to have to listen to her. And then here's your other option. He takes a set of keys and lays it down. You become an officer. You start behaving, you become an officer. You get good food, good bed. You get to tell other people like Bethany what to do. And he's like, which one of these options are you going to go with? And clearly she's going to say she wants to go with the officer route. She looks at him and says, I want this option, the key option, And he's like, okay, well, then you have to start behaving, essentially is what he says. And she seems to listen to him. And that, we know this isn't going to go anywhere because we know what happens from here on out after this whole thing. This is about 3 weeks before she met Joel the first time. I think it's the timeline because she got bit not too long before she met Joel.
Right.
So she takes that option. As she walks out, she asks if she can have it. She's surprised that he's not punishing her too. She's like, just throw me in the hole and let's be done with it.
Yeah, he was kind of like telling her that, hey, if you get your shit right, you can actually lead.
Yeah. He thinks she's a natural leader.
You're a natural leader. Yeah. And, come on. Knock off all the bullshit and let's get your shit together here.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying.
So,
he does give her Walkman back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it kind of seemed like he wanted to keep it.
Yeah.
Because he seems like he was, old enough to kind of remember.
His age probably fits right in with the people like, honestly, he's probably our age, give or take. At this point, early to mid 40s.
We caught the end of the Walkman era. I had a Walkman.
I had a
I'm
CD
sure you
Walkman
had one
too.
Yeah.
So 2003, cassettes would have been kind of going out in 2003, but you were still getting them in the music stores and things like that. So that's the end of that scene. Not really much else to say about that scene. No. That's kind of what it is. It's just kind of setting up Ellie to have this kind of conflicted thing because she doesn't care for Fedra, but she doesn't want to be shit on.
I think that's just Fedra trying to build up their youth.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, you're more than what you are right now.
Definitely.
It was all complete BS.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Fedra's not in for the long haul. Everybody's pretty much fed up with Fedra. So after that scene, we go to Ellie's room. She's reading another Savage Starlight, which is one of the comic books from the game. And then you hear lights out. We get a view of her tapes there, where she's got Aha.
Little Aha.
Yeah, Take there. On Me is on that one. Then she has Etta James, and of course, we don't see the other one, but it's the Pearl Jam tape, obviously.
Yeah.
So she's got 3 tapes, and she turns the light off. They're like lights out. She turns the light off. She goes to sleep, and somebody sneaks into the room through the window, closes the window, and then kind of runs over to Ellie, puts their hand over her mouth, and she goes into fight mode and like kicking and punching, and gets up and grabs her knife, her little switchblade, and goes after the person. And it ends up this is her ex-roommate who had run off, Riley, her friend that Bethany had spoken.
Which, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job of we know the history, sort of, with Bella and her, her good friend. And, you know that she kind of took care of her.
Yeah.
And, in a sense that, getting rid of her. So I really like how they started this episode with, she already did that act.
Yeah.
Making you think that. But then they get to this point, in the room. They're like, oh, lights out. Okay, lights out. And then she comes through the window.
Yeah.
There's no room, or there's no nobody in that bed. She's looking at a vacant bed. Makes you think that she already killed her.
Yeah, maybe that Riley's already dead.
Riley's already dead. I like how they kind of played that out.
Yeah.
And then she comes through the window.
Yeah.
And so, I really enjoyed how they did that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good little thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as Riley comes in and she figures out who she is, you can just tell they have great chemistry together. Mm-hmm. They're good friends. And Riley explains to her why she's been gone so long. She joined the Fireflies. She was sneaking around trying to come back one night, and a woman approached her, I think we pretty clearly know it's Marlene that approached her because she's like, because I was so good at sneaking, they said I would be good with the Fireflies. So she joined up with the Fireflies. She's a joiner, clearly, like Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she shows a gun to prove she's in the Fireflies because she wouldn't have a gun. There's no way she'd have a gun otherwise. So Ellie believes her, obviously, and Riley's like, well, I want you to come with me. Let's go do this, and you can, and you can do whatever you want afterwards, And so Ellie, despite just having this conversation with the captain, decides that she is going to go because it's her friend. She's going to go hang out with a friend, and she doesn't realize. You realize later that Riley's doing this because it's probably the last time they'd see each other.
Right.
Because Riley's going to go away after this, out of Boston. But Ellie does decide to go with her, puts her clothes on, and they sneak out. And Riley's taking her. She takes her outside. She's like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. They're not going to see us. Fedra's terrible. They're terrible at their job." And then a Fedra truck comes right by, and they almost get caught right then and there.
Yeah,
so
shining light,
shining
light
down the alleyway. They hide just behind this tiny wall. I feel like they should have been seen in that, but for purposes of the show, I'll take it. Mm. So
there was a lot during this episode that they did for the purpose of the show.
Yeah.
This is where I'm gonna rant a little bit. Okay. So lights out.
The rants of us.
So the Fedra agent comes in and says lights out, and Bella turns her lights off. Probably 10 minutes later, what's her name? Riley comes through the window.
Play by Storm.
Lights come back on. So it's like, okay. And they were on for a while.
Yeah.
Fedra agents what are they doing?
Yeah, they're not really checking.
Yeah, they're not really checking.
Yeah.
And then, they're sneaking out, and they are probably some of the loudest girls sneaking out during this whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no...
They're not being quiet.
There's no stealth to this at all. And this is where I kind of had a problem with this first part of the episode.
Yeah, they're walking through open alleys. Yeah. No big deal. There's nobody guarding these alleys.
Having great conversation in a normal voice. Not trying to be sneaky at all.
This could be just another thing about how lackluster Fedra is, or perhaps Fedra is very undermanned as well. I think,
they're not as demanding
fascist.
as fascist as they're leading on to be in the show. But I really that was one thing that I noticed. I was like, how are they not getting caught?
Yeah, they don't get caught. They sneak into a vacant building through a window, and Ellie, of course, is being all Ellie and being all sarcastic and kind of silly to Riley, and she goes, "Oh, how many flights of stairs?" Which this kind of jumps back to when her and Joel were climbing stairs.
Yep.
And then she's like, "Oh, just a couple." And then they get to the 7th floor, and she's like, "Oh, a couple, okay."
And she's out of breath.
Yeah, they're out of breath. It's a pretty good callback. So they come upon a dead body in the hallway, and there's a bottle of liquor and some pills right beside this guy. He's clearly committed suicide. He's not infected or anything. He just killed himself, either on purpose or on accident. And he's got this nice bottle of liquor beside him. So they grab the liquor. It's
probably Diplomatico.
There is a name on it next to it's Hamblin liquor, which is not real. I looked it up to try to figure out if I could buy some for the next episode.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I was going to look to buy some for the next episode, but no.
Let's find a bottle shaped
like that with a cork top. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, Hamblin. So you can see it right there. Hamblin. I think it's probably Scotch or bourbon. It's got that color to it. So.
If it's Scotch, it's gonna
be Scotch. Rough. Not for me. But yeah, so they take the liquor and they surmise that this guy killed himself. And then all of a sudden the floor just falls out from under this guy, which is kind of like, why just then? That's another thing. It's like, it's for TV purposes, I guess. But the floor just falls out from under this guy's body, crashes through the floor.
Yeah, it could have been the fungus.
I don't know. So they got the liquor. They go.
There's a lot of this in this episode. Yeah, it's kind of.
It's a TV.
I don't want to say goofy, but it's kind of it's convenient. A lot of convenience in this episode.
Yeah. See, I never can you can see the Hamblin name on it, but I never can figure out exactly what kind of whiskey it is. But they go on the roof and they start drinking the whiskey, and Riley tries it, and she like acts like it's really good, and then Bella tries it, and this is another callback because she tries this like she's like delicious or something like that. But in the other episode, she takes Joel's flask and takes a drink, and it's like it's still not good.
Terrible.
Yeah, it still tastes terrible, which is
still terrible.
It's like the second time she's ever drank from this time, But they're hitting it pretty good, So they get on this roof, and they're talking a little bit about how this is where Storm Reed kind of goes through how she got recruited to Fedra, and how she was sneaking back and got discovered by this woman who is Marlene pretty clearly. I think they even.
Yeah, I think Storm actually brings up.
I think she does say Marlene.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah, I think she brings up Marlene later. Bella, Ellie, as she will, asks to see her gun because she's obsessed with guns, and she gives her a gun, lets her check it out, and then they kind of move along. So
she's like, "Oh man, that's heavy."
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah. So she's not used to holding a gun.
She's never really held one before. Yeah. I guess they haven't got to firearms training in Fedra yet. So they have a nice little moment. I think these two have good chemistry on screen. I think it's well done casting on that part. And I think in the after show they were talking about
the acting is spot on.
It's always good.
Yeah. This show has we'll say one thing about the show. The acting throughout has been great. I haven't seen one like cringe actor or
the only one I would say was not great is the bad guy who was beating up Tess in the first episode. I didn't think he was the best. The guy from Violent Night. The crazy guy from Violent Night. I wouldn't say he was the best.
And Snatch.
He had very little to do, though, in that, so it's not a big deal. So they move on from the rooftop, and they end up in this, like, warehouse-looking building, and there's power there. And Storm Reed explains, like, hey, when Fedra rerouted the power, this place got power. Oh, they also look over. Oh, I forgot. They do look over the roof, and she shows them where they're going, and it's an old mall that they're going to. And she's like, well, Fedra said they drove all the infected into that place, and locked them up and sealed it off. And she's like, does it look sealed off? So this is another Fedra lie, obviously. Yeah. They didn't really seal it off. They're just trying to keep people from going there. That's what it is. They don't want people wandering around.
Yeah, they're trying to just contain people.
Yeah, they're trying to keep them in one little spot.
Yeah.
They
control.
They jump across the roofs, and they get to this little warehouse to go in. And I guess Ellie doesn't know it's actually a mall from where we're looking at it because it's kind of discovered later. But it's a large structure. And so they go into this little warehouse-looking area, and there's a bunch of lights on. And that's where she says they rerouted the power to get power to other places, and end up catching this place as well because it's on the same grid. So she tells Ellie, go through that door, take a right, and walk in and go through the next door and just wait and tell me when you're there. So Ellie walks through those doors, and it's giving her shit still because she's just being Ellie. She's oh, okay, I'll go. And she walks through those doors, and when she says I'm there, Storm Reed's character Riley flips on all these switches, and the whole mall lights up, and Ellie's face just is like wonderment because she's never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
There's all these stores. You'll recognize a bunch of these stores. Some of these places are current stores. Some of them I think don't even exist anymore at this point. So, like a Spree. I haven't seen a Spree store in years.
Exactly. Yeah, that was kind of an 80s, early 90s thing, I think.
Spree exists anymore. I could be wrong. Somebody might tell me we're wrong on that. So this was a surprise. And she says, I'm going to show you these 4 wonders here. This is your surprise. The 4 wonders of this mall. And so I'm getting ahead of where we are on screen at this point, but yeah, so we'll stop there and we can talk a little bit about it. I thought this was all pretty cool, like the kind of taking her into the mall and showing her this place because Riley had been here before, and you find out later Riley's sleeping here and living here for the Fireflies, but it's really cool to kind of see a mall like run down in the future. Of course, the way malls go right now, it looks like a normal mall, to be honest. A bunch of empty stores. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, not the first time we've seen a mall.
Yeah.
Infected zombie movie.
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead? Twice?
Dawn? Yeah.
George Romero and Zack Snyder?
It's pretty cool to go back to that place, but my whole problem is how they got to that place.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was too easy.
I was like, man, this is way too easy.
Yeah, they got their way easy.
So this is like an offshoot of the video game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a DLC. It came out after the original game.
Yeah, I guess they kind of moved the story along a little bit quicker on that.
I think the DLC is about 2 hours long.
2 hours, so they have to move it along. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, so Fedra is this, power that's like got everything locked down. Where their snipers at on the rooftops, it's like they're having a normal, loud conversation throughout.
Yeah,
it's like they made it so easy to this mall, which I do understand. They got to push the story along.
Yeah, you can't spend an hour trying to get to the mall.
But they should have ran into some kind of resistance on the way,
or at least
they
got sneak a little bit. Other than that
sneak.
One little, because Riley's good at sneaking. That's why she got recruited to the Fireflies. Which it also shows you kind of how the
rant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It does kind of show you how the Fireflies might be good in a place like Boston if Fedra is so poor at their jobs, I guess, if they're going for that. So the first thing that Ellie sees when they're in the mall is an escalator, which is still working. I do not think an escalator would still be working with 20 years of wear on it at this point, not being used. There's got to be some grease issue or something.
Ran out and then just
yeah. But this is like, oh, is this? And Ellie's like, is this the first wonder? And she's like, well, I guess it is now. Now there's 5 wonders of them all because she has a good time. Ellie's having a great time on this escalator. That kid is back on the escalator.
I would have liked the little elf reference. When you got your foot on the back.
She does ride the belts on the bottom part. She rides it down and finishes. She almost falls on the escalator, which is death. Yeah. My goodness. But yeah, she rides the rails, jumps up on the rails, and rides them down. And I thought it's fun kind of seeing Ellie having a good time, because most of the time she's just a little psycho, like Graham Greene called her last week, which was great. I love that one. There's a little psycho. There's a Spree. You see a Spree store. You see, what else do we see? You see, Dawn of the Wolf Part 2, a fake movie.
Fake movie,
games.
Back in 5 minutes.
Back in 5 minutes of theater, obviously not. And let's see, what else do we see in the mall? I'm trying to look at some of the stores. Macy's, of course. You're going to see a Macy's in almost every mall. Mm-hmm. That's a Best Buy down there, I think. Do you see that in the background? Pretty sure it was a Best Buy. And they see a Victoria's Secret, which brings up some fun.
Is there a Maurice's? Oh,
Foot Locker. That's right.
It's still
and she's like, I guess people just came in and took what they need. And she's like, sneakers? Really? Yeah, I guess you would need sneakers in the apocalypse. You're going to have to run, right?
That's the only time I would ever...
Oh, the Body Shop, yeah.
That's the only time I would ever get a pair of Jordans.
That's okay if he ties his shoes a lot. I'm going to buy him a pair of Jordans.
Nice.
It's expensive, though. But yeah, it's funny the joke Ellie makes. It's like, people took sneakers, but not soap. Because the Body Shop looks untouched. Nobody took the soap, I guess. And then they see the Victoria's Secret, which brings up a funny conversation. It's like, people wore this stuff?
Yeah, what is this? It's kind of weird.
And Ellie's like, yeah, you know what they wore it for. And she's like, of course I know what they wore it for.
Yeah, you want me to explain?
And then Riley starts laughing and says, I'm just picturing you in this stuff.
Yeah.
But Ellie kind of stands there and looks at it for a while like she's very enamored at what it is,
The whole mirror glass thing.
Gap, things remembered. Yeah. Sorry, I just keep bringing up the stores because this is like a classic mall. This is a 2003 mall. And dude, malls were banging in 2003.
I'm going to say it right now. I miss malls.
Yeah.
I miss malls. The full whole atmosphere. Yeah. The full mall. And the atmosphere with the arcade.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get there.
I mean, this episode really does tug at the heartstrings of those who grew up with the arcade.
Fun tunnel?
The fun tunnel in Dyersburg. The worst mall. I mean, Walmart was bigger than that.
Yeah, that was not a great mall. It's still there.
It's still there.
Still hanging on by a thread. But yeah, so Riley and Ellie are walking through the mall. They're holding hands, they're very close,
Yeah.
clearly, and we're going to see how close they are later. But the first wonder is a carousel,
Yeah.
which is just straight from the game. This is pretty much this. I think this episode, even though I haven't played this part of the game, is like 100% just the game. Basically, it's what happens in the game. Find a carousel. It works. She turns it on. Ellie's riding it, and it's just like the wonderment in her eyes. She's like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, like a kid in a candy store.
Hasn't seen any of this
She hasn't
before.
seen any of this. She doesn't know it exists.
All these lights, all the
Yeah, and you get these little glances between her and Riley that are, kind of like sweet little glances, things like that. And they ride the carousel for a little bit until it stops. Because it's hadn't been serviced in 20 years. That escalator probably should have done the same thing. It stops, and Riley's like, "Oh, I'll see if I can fix it." And Ellie's like, "No, it's okay. We've done it. Let's move on." So they move on from there and go to the arcade. Right? Mm-hmm. Is the arcade the next thing?
So
yeah.
How does Fedra not know that this whole mall is lit up?
Well, see, they brought that up at some point. She said it's kind of down in between a lot of buildings, so you can't really see it, but it seems like it put off a lot of light.
I guess are they short manned?
I think they're just all asleep.
Or just asleep. Yeah, don't care. Yeah.
Well, I think,
not as bad as what
Fedra is probably not as concerned with the inner part of the city than they are with the walls around the city. So they're probably just patrolling the walls for the most part.
Yeah, the whole time I'm watching this episode, I'm like, how is no Fedra showed up? How's no infected show up at this time?
Yeah.
They're making a lot of noise, a lot of lights. I mean, you might as well shoot off 4th of July fireworks.
Of course, Riley's been living here, so she kind of knows that she's probably done this multiple times and nobody showed up. She probably tested all this before she went and got Ellie.
Sorry, another rant.
Yeah, you're ranting. It's okay. It's what we're here for. We're not talking about it for no reason. We gotta give it
I'm coming in on this episode, this series, fresh.
Yeah.
Haven't played the game, so this is coming from me. I'm just watching a normal TV show that I'm like, this is driving me nuts. Yeah, Hallmark.
Yeah, Hallmark. Yes. Yet another store that was famous in malls. Yep. Still in Midriver.
Sorry, had a squirrel moment.
Yeah. Squirrel. Yeah. So they finish on the carousel, and they move to the second part of it, which is right. The second part, they go to the arcade, right? The next one's arcade.
Yeah. After this, she starts to blindfold her.
That's right.
And then she takes
close your eyes. Yeah.
Close your eyes. Yeah.
And she takes her in front of an arcade. It's not a named arcade. This wasn't like a chain arcade like Tilt or anything like that. But she takes her to an arcade, and it's all lit up. All the arcade machines are on, which is fantastic. And it's a classic arcade. It's got a bunch of, it's not like what you see in arcades now, which are mostly redemption machines, like claw machines and redemption machines where you get tickets and stuff like that. And they move into the arcade. They do have a conversation at the carousel. I forgot about this part about, hey, how's it do Fortnite next?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we might do Fortnite, but we don't play Fortnite. We play Warzone, man. So, but thanks for watching. Be sure to.
Do you know Warzone?
Yeah, that's right. So Riley and Ellie have a conversation, and they're talking about kind of like, what their relationship is, why she left, and things like that. If I recall exactly what this is, and she's like, "Do you even like me?" And she's like, "Yeah, a little
bit,
a little bit, yeah." So they move on from there, and they go to the arcade, which is like huge thing for Ellie, and she's like, "Oh, these all take." She looks at. Let's see, what do we see? We see a number of machines. We see Frogger. We see Daytona USA, which is the first one Ellie goes to, and is looking at how to play it. Oh, photo booth. That's number 2. I forgot about the photo booth. That was second wonder. They go to a photo booth, and they go to take some pictures in the photo booth, and Riley happens to have $5 bill. She gathered it for this thing. It costs $5 to use the photo booth. So they get in the photo booth, she puts in the $5, and they're all like, "Oh, start." And they don't think about what poses they're going to do. It's gives them a countdown. They start freaking out about what poses they're going to do. And so all of a sudden they start doing poses, and they're like, what do they do? They're scary and goofy and ones like that. And then it prints. Yeah. They're having fun. They're like two best friends having fun in a photo booth at a mall. It's a thing that you would see at a lot of malls.
Yeah, and the $5 kind of comes into play a little bit later.
Yeah.
With when they go to the arcade.
Yeah, because there's money all over the
Yeah.
floor in the arcade. You can just get it there.
And they're like, oh, all that useless stuff? No. But it got them the pictures.
Yeah, they got the pictures. And the pictures print out and they're kind of ruined because it's an old machine. Again, it's 20 years old. It hadn't been used in 20 years. They used the machine and the pictures kind of print out. And Ellie's like, oh, well, this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
And she keeps the photo. Of course, we haven't seen that photo at any other time. So
Not yet.
I don't know if she lost it or maybe we'll see it in another episode, her looking back again or maybe telling Joel.
I'm sure
about
she
this
still has
possibly.
it, yeah.
But yeah, there's just the one photo that turns out okay for the
Yeah,
most
it's so
part.
exposed.
Yeah, it's very, very bad quality. The color's obviously out of it and everything. So they move them from the photo booth, and that's where they hit the arcade. The arcade is my favorite part of the episode, even though I know you have problems with it. I did too, kind of, because
No Contra.
they're dedicated only to Mortal Kombat 2
Yeah.
in this arcade. And it's like, there's so many games in this arcade. Why are you only playing Mortal Kombat 2? But they also had a Mortal Kombat 2 poster in their room. And an Interspace
true.
poster. Did you see the Interspace poster behind her bed?
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can see
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid and Martin
Yeah.
Short's name on there. It's like
Yeah.
it's Interspace.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. Yeah.
Raja's Arcade. Yeah.
Raja.
So
yeah.
clearly, I'm looking at the games and I'm trying to figure out. Like I pointed out to you, like the pinball machines are some of the most classic pinball machines. I'm going to try to watch to see if I can catch other ones. But they had Medieval Madness, which is a hugely in-demand pinball machine. You can see it right there on the end.
Of course, Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris Arcade, which is a rare arcade machine. You don't see that very often. Frogger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Pac-Man,
Space Commander.
Pac-Man, they just walk past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't make out, but Attack from Mars pinball machine, which looks great, man. That's an awesome pinball machine. That's one of the most popular pinball machines out there as well. Like, hugely popular pinball machines in this place. We get, what is that?
Daytona USA.
Daytona, yeah, that's Daytona USA. And I
That's
just
still
wanted to-
around.
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's
people
still
play that.
around.
I just wanted to hear
love
the theme.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard? You remember the theme? Daytona, let's go away. Sorry,
wait,
singing.
whoa, wait.
Whoa, we're gonna copyright.
Hey, can you go one more time?
Daytona, let's go away.
This man has the voice of an angel.
Damn right I do. So you get, I think is that Asteroids? I think there's Asteroids or Missile Command in there or something like that. Yeah, it's Asteroids behind her. So you get a lot of classics machines, but they ultimately focus on Mortal Kombat, which is fine. Mortal Kombat 1 is one of my favorite arcades of all time.
And that came up like in episode 2.
Yeah, they saw the
She was
Mortal
talking
Kombat
about
machine.
oh,
Yeah. So she played it before.
yeah, she's like, what's her name? Like can like spit out bones.
Melina.
I forget. Yeah, Melina. Yeah.
So yeah, you see a Final
Forget that
Fight machine, a Joust machine. Joust is classic.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah, they are playing Mortal Kombat 2, which, as much as I hate to admit it, is the superior Mortal Kombat. I love the first machine. It came out in '91 when I was like 10 years old, and I put so much money into that machine at the Fun Tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. But they decided to play as Raiden and Melina. And Ellie has no clue how to play.
If you ever make it through Dyersburg, Tennessee, it's on the way to Memphis, kind of.
Off 55,
Off
basically.
55,
Yeah.
stop at the mall and go to Fun Tunnel,
Which is not there anymore.
which is not there anymore. But just go in that area.
That's right. It was an actual round entrance.
Yeah.
And it also
Pay
is kind of
homage.
a funny name if you think of it as an adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they play as Raiden and Melina, and somehow
There it is.
they know how to do fatalities.
Yeah.
Riley knows how to do fatalities, so that's great. I love to see the fatalities come up because I guess maybe she's seen magazines or something. They had that in their room, so I'm guessing that poster they had a magazine or something that poster came out of, so they probably read about it. But what does disappoint me in this is that's the only game we see him play. Because if I was in an arcade, I could play whatever I want. I'm playing a lot of games, man. I'm playing Final Fight for sure. Because I can beat Final Fight on like $5 or $6 in quarters.
Yeah.
I beat it. I have a little mini version of the arcade. See, there's
Galago's back there.
Galaga,
Didn't see that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's Missile Command, I think, right there. Maybe not, though. So while they're playing the arcade, you get a shot down through a darkened part of the mall, and you see an infected that is connected to the network. He's all in the wall, connected to the network. He's in the American Girl store.
Mm-hmm.
This is the American Girl store that we're going through. And he hears them. So he's putting out the information to the rest of the fungus network that there's people in here.
It's starting to kind of
he's
liven up.
He hears they're going to have some problems at some point in this episode. But they're still playing Mortal Kombat. Next scene we come back to. All right, so we can stop right there. What did you think about this scene? We kind of talked about it throughout there, but what did you think about it? Oh, yeah, she's playing as Baraka there.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole time, probably like you, I'm just like, I'm not really watching them. I'm trying to look past them.
See all the stuff.
Trying to see all the different games. I mean, their dynamic is great.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a good job of acting through this, but I'm like, what's going on back here,
Yeah.
you know?
And you get these little glances between them where they're about to kiss, it looks like, you know.
But, you know, the whole time I'm thinking, why is nothing showing up throughout this whole time? It took so long.
It's still surprising.
For, like, just even the infected to realize, there's somebody down the hall, you know.
Yeah.
It kind of drove me nuts a little bit on this episode. But at least I did enjoy it with the, the arcade. Because if you give me an arcade, let's have fun.
I'm going to play some games.
Yeah.
Food court, Subway, Panda Express, Macho Nacho, which I don't think is a real thing.
No,
but
give me a Sabero's.
Yeah, Sabero should have been here. Why isn't Sabero there?
Why is no Sabero's pizza there?
That's real New York pizza, man.
Yeah, man. No.
So they go to Macho Nacho in the food court, and this is where Riley's been living, essentially. And Ellie's like, oh, this is where you've been staying? She's like, yeah, this is where, the Fireflies put me up at. And she gives her another book, no pun intended, Volume 2. And they go through a few jokes in here. Yeah. One of them, I thought it was hilarious. The one joke they couldn't understand, how does a computer get drunk?
Yeah.
It takes screenshots, and they're like, what are screenshots? They've never used computers before, clearly. So they're reading the jokes off, having fun with the jokes. But Ellie's really excited about this book because she's read through the first one 100 times, and of course it came up earlier in the season where she's telling Joel the jokes, and they really, they're really groaners ultimately.
Yeah, this is this show has actually kind of prompted me to start off my son's day with a dad joke because there's so many throughout this, and they're they're good.
They're good.
So I gave him a few from this show.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, those are bad. So I kept that going on.
Oh yeah, no, so that's good.
Brought up that one to him today, and he was like, no, stop it.
That's a good one though. Ellie also finds the darker side of the Fireflies here, that Riley's been making pipe bombs here to use against Fedra, clearly, and I don't think Ellie's too impressed with this. She doesn't seem to be really happy about this, that Riley's going to put her life in danger, and this is where it comes up that this is kind of their last night together, that Riley's not going to stay in Boston, that Fireflies are sending her somewhere else, and that's why she's doing this, is like she wanted to have one good night together with Ellie because, they're friends. She wanted to have a good night again with her friend. So Ellie kind of storms off.
She's like, oh, you're building this to blow me up?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It's like, how would you take that as a friend?
Yeah. Well, not great, because if she's Fedra, they're going to be fighting her, obviously.
Yeah.
So she starts to walk off. They have a little argument, and Riley does tell her, "This is my last night." That's when it comes up, when she starts walking off. Like, you were just going to leave, and you're just going to do this and leave. So they have a little fight, and Ellie starts to leave the mall and gets almost out, but she decides that she's going to go back because she hears some screaming coming from in the mall, and she's worried that something's happened. So she runs back in and runs into a Halloween store. And that is, it's just like one of those jump scare Halloween decorations screaming. And Riley's sitting there in the Halloween store, and she's like, well, this was what I thought would be your favorite part.
This was the surprise.
So that was another part where it was going to be her favorite part. But so Ellie, decides to kind of forgive her at this point, and they're going to hang out together in this store, and they make up and, become friends again, and they decide to play some music, and they're dancing around again. They're being super duper loud here. I mean, super loud because they're playing the music over the PA
the whole episode
of this place.
Yeah.
So,
it's still amazing that not just what you're gonna get. There's not like a horde or Fedra or somebody else coming in.
Yeah.
I can't get away from that.
Yeah.
That's the thing that kind of drove me nuts about this whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We do get their first kiss here where they've kind of decided that they like each other that way. They kiss, they dance with these goofy masks on, a werewolf mask and a killer clown mask. And as they're finished dancing, a infected pops out of some decorations. I guess he wasn't in that store. I think he just found them through that store because the network said there were people there. And of course, he heard them because they were being loud as hell. So they both start running. He jumps on them and is attacking them. Riley gets knocked out. Ellie is fighting him off with her knife. She stabs him multiple times. And then, finally she does put him down by stabbing him in the head as he's attacking Riley. I don't see where she gets bit.
He bit her right there.
It's right in that scene right there. I would have guessed.
I didn't see where he bit Riley though.
Yeah, I think that was right at the start that he got her.
I wonder, speculation.
Right here, I think that right there. You see, she had her hand over near his mouth. So he's attacking Riley. She stabs him in the
speculation.
Head, and that's kind of that's her first infected kill, obviously. So she stabs him in the head.
So that one was kind of turned into a clicker.
He was getting closer, but he wasn't a clicker because he could still see. He was getting mushroomed out of his head.
Just a side head.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little side head.
Yep.
Put that on the YouTube channel.
That's right. So Ellie kills him, and she seems super excited about it at first, and then she sees Riley, and Riley's looking at her, and it's like looking at her arm, and it's like, she doesn't know. It's too much adrenaline. And she's like, no, oh my God, no. She got bit. And she's infected now, of course. She starts wiping it off like, no, this isn't happening. She's...
I think this is probably one of my favorite parts of the episode.
Oh, this is the best part of the episode.
Where they're like, oh my God. Yeah. The way they react is pretty...
And then
spot on.
When Bella stops freaking out about hers, she looks over to Riley, and Riley's hand has a bite on it. Her left hand has a bite on it. So they both know that they're essentially dead. This is a death sentence.
And Riley's just so like, oh, well, crap. Yeah. And Bella is the opposite. She's like, oh, God dang, no.
Yeah.
We got,
No.
We're young.
Yeah,
we got a lot of life to live.
Yeah, so it's a good scene. I really like that scene. It's nice to see an infected, because it made sense that there should have been one there throughout the whole episode, probably. But they needed to do what they needed to do for storytelling purposes. So we do get one, and this explains Ellie's loss that she's had. Because Ellie, at this point, Ellie, I don't think had experienced any loss. She grew up as an orphan.
Yeah.
So she didn't have parents. She didn't lose parents. Riley, on the other hand, has seen a dead person before. She mentioned that earlier because her parents were killed. She saw her parents killed.
Right.
And we flash back to Joel and Ellie running through the house she's decided she wants to stay with Joel. She's going to help him. She's running through the house looking for whatever she can find to help him. And she finds some thread and needle. I can't remember if it's right now or later that she finds the thread and needle so she can at least sew Joel up. But then we flash immediately, after 30 seconds, flash back to Riley and Bella. They're sitting by the counter. Riley's got her pistol in her hand, and I guess they're kind of debating what they're going to do because they know they're going to turn. And I don't know, arm bites, I think that was 12 hours or something they would have. Mm-hmm. So they're sitting together and kind of talking about just being done, that's it. I can't remember the exact conversation. Yeah. But it's a sad moment. It's a sad moment between them. I'm not going to get upset about it. And that's something I want to talk about at the end of the episode. Reaction I saw on how I feel about this scene. It is a sad moment because they had a good relationship. You can tell they were great friends. We didn't get to see a lot of the reason they were great friends, but they were great friends.
Yeah, there were hints at what was going on.
But they're sitting there and they're holding hands. And they both know that they're going to essentially die.
Yeah.
And that's it. yeah, that's it for them. And then,
I think the next episode will probably lead off with them playing video games for the last 12 hours that they have together.
that's what they should have done.
Hopefully it's Ninja Turtles?
Frogger.
Oh, no.
Yeah, see, they didn't have the Ninja Turtles arcade or the X-Men arcade in there. Those were classics. 6-player and 4-player arcade. Simpsons. We didn't see the Simpsons either.
Simpsons was good.
Yeah, Simpsons is great.
Which you have right now.
I have the Simpsons in the basement, the arcade one up. Which we do the bowling on it. Get nice and hammered and do some Simpsons bowling.
If you become a Patreon, we'll have you over.
Yeah.
We'll play you.
You have to be in the $1,000 donation code for that one, right? But yeah, so they embrace.
We challenge you.
They embrace, and then it flashes back to Ellie trying to find stuff. This is where she finds the thread. She finds the thread to go help Joel, and goes down to sew him up. And it flashes back to them two one more time, or is this where it ends right here?
I think it leaves it. Yeah, it leaves it at them.
It leaves it at them embracing.
Yeah.
And we know that at some point Bella either had to kill Riley or Riley killed herself because Bella wasn't going to change.
Which was implied.
Ellie wasn't.
Which I do like about this episode. They did imply that at the very beginning. They're like, oh, she's not here anymore to protect you. She's gone. And then she went back to her dorm, I guess you would call it. And she wasn't there, so it makes you like, okay, we already know the story.
Yeah.
But here we are seeing the story a little bit.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna finish the story next week.
I don't think so. I don't think we're coming back to it.
You don't think so?
No, I think
they gotta finish it off.
I think that's where they leave it.
Okay.
I think that's where they're gonna leave it.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think we're coming back to that.
What do you think? 14?
14. Yeah. So Ellie goes down to the basement with Joel.
Are we gonna come back to it?
And she's sewing Joel up with this needle and thread. Joel's in severe pain because he's got, he's doing the best he can not to move because he knows she's trying to help him, but it's got to be extreme pain what he's going through. But this will help. In the game,
Pedro Pascal's doing it.
See, that's where it ends. Right
does
there.
a great job of just being in pain the whole time.
Yeah, well, he's a great painful man. So
he's a great painful man.
He's the internet's daddy and the pain master. Yeah. So that's where the episode ends. She's sewing up Joel. In the game, she finds antibiotics to give to Joel. It's not. She doesn't. I don't remember her sewing him up in the game. So that's the end of the episode.
Just an amazing bottle in the middle of a house.
Yeah, I think it's just penicillin or something she finds somewhere. But she finds that. And this sets up one of my favorite parts of the game, going into the next part, and this preview for next week is one of my favorite parts of the game, where Ellie's on her own.
You want to talk about the preview?
We can. Well, let's talk about my feelings about this episode.
Let's do this.
So ultimately, the reaction I saw online was like, oh man, I was crying so much throughout this episode and all this, and I'm like, I wasn't. Because Riley was introduced to us 54 minutes ago, and then we see her dead at the end of the episode. It's like, sure, the relationship's good, they do a nice building, but it doesn't make me that sad that Riley died, because I didn't know her that well in the first place. I'm sad for Ellie, but I'm not going to cry about it or anything.
No.
And that's, I don't know, maybe I'm hard-hearted when it comes to this stuff, but it's just like, this show hasn't really made me cry. I played the game, and that's emotional, but I never cried during the game either. I guess some people do, but it's a hard game to play. It is really emotional and hard to play. But I'm not crying during it, and I'm not going to cry during the show because I just don't think it's that bad. It's like I didn't know Riley well enough to cry over her.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my controversial opinion. It's not really controversial.
A little bit of a rant.
Yeah, a little bit of a rant. We got the rants of us.
We got a little rant rage.
That's right.
A little rant rage going here.
Yeah.
So
preview for next week. If you want to talk about that, we can. And spoilers. If you don't like to hear about the preview, you can tune out. We'll talk to you next time. But yeah, so the preview for next week shows Ellie on her own. She gets caught by another group of people, and you don't know anything about this, so you don't know
I don't.
How good this part of the game
I did
is.
notice that the guy that voices Joel is in that group.
You see, I thought that was him.
Yeah,
I'm not
he
sure.
was. What's his name?
Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. Yeah. Which, I mean, great voice. He can change his
good.
voice, whatever. He's done a few different
He's done a lot.
roles.
He was in Uncharted with Nolan North as well. So.
Yeah, I did notice him in the preview.
Looks like a pretty action-packed episode.
Yeah.
And it should be if it's from the...
I mean, 2 episodes left?
Yeah.
They got a lot
Basically,
of ground.
probably like 2.5, maybe 3 hours.
They got a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, they do.
Like, coming from me, that I haven't played the game, I kind of understand and know some things that are going on. But as far as this show has gone, nothing has really happened.
Yeah. It's
I mean, honestly, nothing has really happened.
It's like Lord of the Rings. They're just walking.
Yeah, they're just walking and coming, oh, great. How are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this, deal?
It's
and well acted. I love every minute of it. But the last 2 episodes, what are they going to do?
Yeah. And they got a lot to get through.
They have a lot of work to do.
I'm going to say this. It's a spoiler. Where are my giraffes? And you don't know what that means, but where are my giraffes? We're not going to get them. I think that stuffed giraffe we got in an earlier episode was the only thing.
You got the bamboos. Bamboos?
Baboons.
Baboons.
The baboons.
The baboons.
They're monkeys made of bamboo.
Yes. Very, very strong.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else to say about the episode?
No.
Right.
Just can't wait for next week.
Yep. It's going to be good. We'll see you on Sunday. This one's a little late because I had things going on Sunday. I had to do this on Monday instead. So, all right.
Yeah.
14-4-10. If you're with us next week, we'll see you then. I'd hope that you at least follow us. If you give us a follow, that'd be great. Again, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@basementmovieroom. I do upload these to YouTube. It just takes me a little while because I'm lazy. And movie_basement on Twitter. And, of course, twitch.tv/basementmovieroom. You can also email us at basementmovieroompodcast with an S @gmail.com. And we will see you next time.
Yes. Till next time.